right, let's talk some Niners here. Happy Friday, everybody. You're watching the San Francisco 49ers Report. My name is Chase Sr. Hope you're all getting set to have an awesome weekend. And as always, no matter where you are or how you're tuned in, appreciate all of you for making today's show a part of your day. Just wanted to hop in front of the camera, get on the microphone to talk some Niners because that's what we do every day here on this channel. Coming up, major Brandon Aiyuk update from NFL insider Mike Garafolo on the relationship between the 49ers wide receiver and this organization. Also, a 49ers free agency signing has emerged as a potential starter for San Francisco on the defensive side of the ball under new defensive coordinator Robert Saleh as Saleh makes his return to the Niners. Before we get into all of that, we've picked up 839 new subscribers this month, and we're closing in on the final few days of the month of June before we flip the page to July. And my goal in the month of June here is to pick up more subscribers this month than we did last month. Ideally, we can get 1,000 new subscribers this month, but the number that we need to beat from the amount of subscribers that we gained in May is 938. And so we're a little less than 100 from that number. 839 new subscribers this month, 938 last month. Subscribe today. Let's take down that number. That has been my goal for the month of June. Help me accomplish that, and I promise you, you won't regret that decision because when I talk Niners here on this channel, I think all of our content is very informative, insightful, entertaining, thought-provoking. You always have a voice. So join the movement. Lock us in. Subscribe today. You look at this clip here next to me. Brandon Aiyuk is living his best life in the Bahamas right now. I believe that he's there with his wife. They got married earlier this offseason, and he's enjoying a nice vacation before 49ers training camp starts in less than a month. Aiyuk last October, of course, suffered a gruesome knee injury. 3 torn ligaments inside that knee, including an ACL, MCL tear. He had to undergo that surgery, and so Kyle Shanahan said a couple of weeks ago during mandatory minicamp, BA is not going to be ready for the start of training camp. That was never anticipated. That was never expected. And some people have said, Chase, Stephon Diggs tore his ACL last year. Why is he already back on the practice field with the New England Patriots after he signed that contract to give Drake May a weapon? Well, Stephon Diggs only tore an ACL. BA had 3 torn ligaments inside that knee. Also keep in mind that everybody's body is different. Everybody recovers differently. And when you have as complex and severe of an injury as Aiyuk had, the recovery timeline is going to take a little while. And if I had my guess right now, I would say that even though Aiyuk has looked good and he was running a light route while at mandatory minicamp and the leg is not atrophied, and as you can see here, he looks pretty slender, I would say that he probably starts the year on PUP, and then hopefully he can join this team in October, maybe November. And I do think that San Francisco will be able to survive without Aiyuk in the meantime. Ricky Pearsall has to take another leap, but he showed a lot of flashes last year as a rookie, especially after he got acclimated and got his conditioning back up, and physically he was up to par after that gunshot wound. Jawan Jennings was fantastic last year. Demarcus Robinson is a really strong number 3, number 4 wide receiver. He had a connection going with Purdy throughout the spring. You have Jacob Cowing, who, by all accounts, taken a big leap from year 1 to year 2. And I'm excited to see what the Niners can get from Jordan Watkins, a 4-3 guy who was one of the most explosive wide receivers in college football last year for Ole Miss. And Aiyuk here in the Bahamas, I guess this is what $30 million per year in average annual value can get you, right? Beachfront, overlooking the Caribbean. If you've ever been there, I was in the Bahamas and in the Caribbean on a cruise many years ago as a kid. I've never seen ocean water that clear. I've never been on sand that is that smooth and white. And I've been to the ABC Islands, Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao. I've been to Australia. I've been to Cancun. Nothing compares to the Caribbean Ocean, in my opinion. So, BA enjoying some time here before the start of training camp. I guess I could also make a Deebo Samuel joke here. Sorry, I have to. If this was Deebo, might be looking a little bit pudgy if he had his shirt off, overlooking the Caribbean in the Bahamas at this point of the offseason before he tried to get back into shape. But good news here is that Aiyuk is looking slender. Hopefully he can continue to rehab well, recover well, come off that knee injury, and get back to the 2023 All-Pro form when he was spectacular and he was a top 10 wide receiver in the game. Now, to the point of this Aiyuk conversation here, earlier this week, talked about Aiyuk here on the channel because of the cryptic posts that he put up on his YouTube channel. And we have a community tab here on the 49ers Report. That's where we post pictures, we post polls, you can post messages there, you can plug content, all that type of stuff. Aiyuk was treating that forum, if you will, like Twitter. And he posted this. They was talking about trading me while I was off Percocets, muscle relaxers, and peeing in a cup by my bed. I couldn't walk for 10 weeks. Ain't nobody trading for me. Now, we're not sure who that was directed to. Was it directed to the Niners? Because at the NFL Combine, when I asked John Lynch about Aiyuk, he didn't turn down a trade. Is he talking about the media and content creators? We'll never know. But Aiyuk, since before signing that contract and even after signing that contract, has sent out a lot of cryptic messages hinting that he's unhappy with the 49ers. Well, Mike Garafolo on the NFL Network last night said this: I know folks are reading into Brandon Aiyuk's comments as he makes his way back from an ACL injury. My understanding is that Brandon Aiyuk is in a really good space with the team. They've got to get him healthy and keep him focused. If they do, that's another add back to the mix with all this talent on the team. He's talking about Christian McCaffrey coming back healthy, Trent Williams coming back healthy. And that's great that Aiyuk is on, seemingly, a good page with the Niners. I'm not sure why he continues to post these cryptic messages because it only stirs up controversy, drama, and speculation. But that's good news that we're in a spot right now where BA, who has been unhappy with the Niners, is in a good spot with the team. Got to get him healthy for sure. That's another important note of what Garafolo had to say. What stands out to me, though, the Niners have to get him healthy. Okay, understand that. But they have to keep him focused? Is Garafolo just saying that for filler? Or do the Niners need to keep BA in line and focused? I mean, he's not a young pup anymore. Talking about a 27-year-old veteran who got $76 million in guaranteed money. The Niners are giving him $30 million in average annual value per year, and you need to keep him focused? I mean, to start his career, you remember how there were some issues with Aiyuk coming out of Arizona State. There were some bumps as a rookie, and I thought it was really impressive how he was able to lead the Niners in receiving as a rookie in that COVID offseason where there were no preseason games and limited training camp practices. All of the dumb COVID rules and guidelines that everybody had to follow, which nowadays seem blasphemous. The lack of contact, being in the building only a certain amount of time. Still, BA, while also being injured, led the team in receiving that year. And so that was impressive for him as a first-round pick to do that, but there were some rumblings about maturity issues at the time. And then in year two, remember how Brandon Aiyuk started the year in Kyle Shanahan's doghouse? Then he got out of it, and he really helped the Niners climb out of that 3-5 start to the year to rally, make the playoffs, make the NFC Championship game. And then year by year, his first 4 years in the NFL, from his rookie year through his all-pro season in 2023, he progressed, he improved, and he solidified himself as one of the top wide receivers in the game. But then last year happened, the contract saga and everything that came with that, all of the posts on social media. He clearly wasn't happy with what happened. He even told John Lynch, or at least John Lynch made it public, that Aiyuk had his feelings hurt by those contract negotiations and how they went. But look, BA, while the Niners may not have paid you for a while, and yeah, you may have been in trade speculation. You tweeted directly at Mike Tomlin. That didn't help. They still compensated you. They showed that you're a core member of this football team, that they value you. They gave you all that guaranteed money and made you a top 10 highest paid wide receiver in the game. So while your feelings may have been hurt, they made that financial commitment to you. And so there has been some immaturity there for BA, in my opinion, which I think is a shame because at one point he was a beloved Niner. You know, he sacrificed his role in the offense knowing that there were so many other great players on this team, and he understood, okay, maybe I'm not going to get a lion's share of targets like a Jamar Chase or a Justin Jefferson, but he still put up good production. He still played extremely hard. He still played with swagger, energy, confidence. He still blocked for his teammates and turned into one of the best blocking wide receivers in the game. The effort was there. Focus was not an issue in 2022 and 2023. But now, is keeping him focused an issue now after he got paid? I mean, you look at his YouTube channel and look, he's been hurt, and so he's probably trying to find ways to keep his mind occupied. That's very healthy. I know that after my mom passed away, I was in a really dark spot, and when I would just sit at home all alone and not do anything, not be productive, you'd let those negative thoughts fester, and it put me in a really dark place. It's really important to keep your mind occupied, to have some goals, things to accomplish, have a regimen, have a routine. That's what allowed me to get really into fitness because I wanted to stay locked in to not venture off into that dark spot. So BA has been working on cars. That's one of his hobbies. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's good to have hobbies outside of your job. In this case, outside of football. For me, I love pop culture. I love music. I love going on hikes, love working out, lifting weights, running, watching a Netflix show, documentary, a movie. Like, I have other passions outside of sports broadcasting. BA does as well. Hopefully that doesn't keep him from being focused. But either way, a good Brandon Aiyuk update here on this Friday, June 27th, that their Garafolo said that late last night. As for the free agency acquisition, potentially paying off for San Francisco, we're talking about cornerback Tre Brown. And throughout the spring, Tre Brown, safety Jason Pinnock, also a new addition who had a good spring, and D. Winters all recorded interceptions of Brock Purdy. And Tre Brown was getting a lot of first-team reps at inside corner, nickel slot, ahead of Upton Stout when Deommodore Lenoir is on the field. When Deommodore Lenoir didn't practice during mandatory minicamp, just getting some veteran rest days, Tre Brown went from slot to the outside, pairing up with Renardo Green. I always like players who have positional versatility. I pride myself in broadcasting as a broadcaster, being versatile. Last 2 nights I've been covering the NBA draft. Haven't been able to sleep much, but stepped in, helped the company, talked NBA, talked hoops. It was fun, especially during a dry period of the NFL offseason. I put up commentaries about why ESPN's draft coverage was so bad. I'm in media. I have thoughts on it. You want me to talk baseball? You want me to talk college football? I can do it. You want me to talk politics? A lot of you don't want me to do that, but I believe I have some pretty good political takes because in my previous job, I was a news reporter on one of the most watched local news stations in the country, and I covered politics and news, especially during the lead up to the 2020 election and after that. There was a lot going on in the country, which got me focused and interested in politics. And so I craft my talents on being versatile. Same thing in sports, right? Especially a corner. If you could play inside, outside, makes yourself more valuable to the team. And if an injury happens here, an injury happens there, or you need to step in to play a couple of different roles, capable of doing that. That's what makes Deommodore Lenoir so valuable for this football team. And so Tre Brown can play inside, outside. Prior to this year, he hasn't played a lot of inside. He's been primarily an outside guy, but he's showing San Francisco that he can do both. And I think ideally, you have Upton Stout start week 1 or at least at some point this year because he's a 4-3 guy. He led all DBs in the bench press. He's strong. He's stout. He's physical. He's fierce. He plays with swagger. He provides sticky coverage. He has good ball skills. He's good against the run. But if he's not ready, you have Tre Brown, who you paid virtually nothing in NFL free agency. Former 4th-round pick out of Oklahoma by the Seattle Seahawks. And cornerback depth is a little bit of a concern. So to add to that for Tre Brown, that's certainly a positive. In college, 3-year starter, 100 career tackles, 31 pass breakups. He is a little bit of an undersized player, 5'9", so maybe he's better suited to play on the inside, but he has a scrappy play style, excels in pass coverage, able to use his speed to run with the receivers, has short area quickness to play quicker routes. While with Seattle, didn't play a lot. He was injured a good amount. 5 games, 3 starts as a rookie, 6 games, no starts second year, 15 games, 7 starts in year 3, and then last year, 13 games, 3 starts. He hinted that he was injured a little bit with Seattle and his best football is to come. Let's hope so. As an overall athlete, relative athletic score in the pre-draft, 6.36 on a scale of 0 to 10. Not great, but a lot of that is knocked, and that number is lowered because he was 5'9", 185, and that was in the red, poor. But the vertical leap, 38 inches. That's that short area quickness and burst. The 40-yard dash, 4.42. He can really run. Excellent 20-yard split at 2.55. And so at the very least, you're looking at hopefully a capable backup or at least a spot starter until Upton Stout is ready. And again, you're barely paying him anything. And I went back and I looked at NFL.com's scouting report on him. And coming out of college, they looked at him as a potential backup corner who could earn his keep thanks to maniacal effort as a special teams ace that kind of fits what Robert Saleh likes. Possesses a stout, strong frame, loves to turn press or release into a physical challenge no matter how big the guy is across from him. Very strong for his size. He can fist fight at that corner spot. Bullies passive receivers through their release. And another thing, too, with this acquisition is that at the very least, he could be a special teams player for San Francisco, which is obviously ideal as well. So right now, I'm recording this show. It's almost 1 o'clock Eastern, almost 10 a.m. on the West Coast. I'll be joining Larry Krueger in about 45 minutes on the Krug Show. A lot of great content to come there. Plenty of great content to come here on the 49ers Report. You see it right here. Scan the QR code. You can subscribe. Even easier, just hit that subscribe button down below. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to turn on those notifications. Therefore, anytime we push out a show, you will be notified. And as always, thank you so much for the support. What I do would not be possible without all of the real ones amongst the faithful.